Now, I promised you guys this whole show that we were going to have a great interview for you. And this interview is going to be interesting, ladies and gents. I don't want you to go anywhere. I don't want you to tune off. I don't want you to change your radio dial. I don't want you to stop watching this video. We're talking to Larry Ward, the president of the Political Media Incorporated, about the organizers of Gun Appreciation Day. And they have a very, very interesting take on gun laws in this country. That's different than my take, for warning's sake. So let's have this conversation. Larry, welcome to the Fowler Show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So tell us about Gun Appreciation Day.
Well, it was January 19th, and what we asked people to do is go out and go to their gun show, gun store, state capitol, and make a statement that to the gun grabbers,
gun grabbers,
Feinstein, Cuomo.
And how exactly, Larry? Hold on a second. So how exactly is, Dianne Feinstein trying to grab your gun?
Well, I guess you haven't seen the video that's been circulating virally for months. But last time the assault weapons ban was in place, she made it clear. She said, "Mr. and Mrs. American, and Mr. American citizen, if I could have taken all the guns off the street, I would have. I just didn't have the vote."
So that's an interesting point, because I think I've heard Dianne Feinstein say that before, and I think she's referring to the fact that guns on the street means more gun violence in this country, especially in our inner cities. But that's interesting, and the reason I brought that point up is because your organization has said that gun laws basically are racist. Is that the right word? Did I use the right word?
Well, gun control is a very, very long history. As a matter of fact, all of the original gun control laws in this country were based around race, were essentially used to take guns out of blacks and Native Americans' hands.
Okay, all right. So I will give you the first premise that in 18, and I would say from the founding of this country, 1776 until 1865, you wouldn't want, or I would say, let's go a little bit further. I'll give you till Dred Scott, 1898, or maybe, I don't know, I'll give you the Civil Rights Movement, 1965, How about in California,
during the Mulford Act?
Okay. I mean, but that's not the point. Can you explain to me how you can justify that, gun laws are quote unquote racist when you have, deaths like Hadia Pendleton or Trayvon Martin, or I can go on and on about listing all the victims of gun violence in this country at no fault of their own, because we've allowed gun control. We've basically allowed, guns to go to be bought and sold in the black market. We've allowed for no background checks, and now guns are in the hands of children, and children are shooting children. You're telling me that's okay?
Of course, I'm not saying that.
So why don't we pass laws to stop that? Because those are laws that you consider to be racist.
There you go. There are laws. It's called murder.
No. Murder is the consequences of using an illegal gun to shoot somebody. What happens? We're talking about prevention, right? We do want Hadia's killer to be captured and go to jail and murdered, but Hadia should have been murdered in the first place, which is the argument that we're trying to make, and the argument that Dianne Feinstein's trying to make.
You brought up the kids. Let's talk about Newtown.
Let's talk about Newtown.
There was strict gun laws in Newtown, in Connecticut, and it was a gun-free school zone. And so, both of those laws failed.
You're completely right, Larry. Both of those laws did fail, but the reason why those laws failed is because this gentleman and his mother was allowed to have a weapon, a military grade assault rifle. Okay, whether it's military, we can quibble over the facts all we want to. An assault rifle, the weapons that are used by soldiers to kill members of the Taliban. She's allowed to have it in her home. You're telling me that's okay?
There's not a military. There's not a soldier that uses an AR-15.
But why does somebody need an AR-15 with 30 rounds of bullets in there?
Well, first of all, it's a Second Amendment right. It's not a privilege, so it doesn't matter.
No. I'll address that, but I'll let you finish, and I'll address that. But go ahead.
Sure. But why does someone need it? It's a good self-defense weapon. It's a weapon that is why do you need 30 rounds? Well, you know what? Because look at the case in Georgia where the girl had her twin 9-year-old boys, and there was a home intruder, and she went, locked 3 doors, ran upstairs, hid her kids behind another door. The guy broke through all the doors. She had a gun. She fired 6 shots, hit him with 5. The guy ran off. Now, if we're talking about limiting the clips to like
how far did he get?
7 bullets. What's that?
How far did he get being shot 5 times?
He ran off. He left the premises, and he got.
Did they catch him?
Yeah, they caught him.
Of course, because he got shot 5 times.
Right. Well, here's the thing. So she shot off 6 bullets. Andrew Cuomo's law would only allow her to have 7. What if there was a second intruder?
Okay.
What would she have done?
Well, I mean, listen. First off, and I think the vice president says better than I did, because he owns a gun, and he says, if a intruder happened to, attack our home in Delaware, I've told Jill, she takes a shot, the shotgun out, she fires 2 shots, and that, first of all, that's going to scare off any intruder. Second of all, I'm pretty sure that this woman probably called the cops. So by the time she shot the first one 5 times, the other one went to go check on his buddy, he would have been arrested by the police regardless. But let's go back to your first. Before we move on from this, I want to go back to your first premise about the right to bear arms in this country, and I want to talk about that particular amendment and how it's written. Now, how that amendment is written, it's written to support owning a gun, to support a state militia. Now, the question I have for you is,
It's not a state militia. It's a militia.
Okay.
And a militia is the people. It's the citizens' right to defend the country and defend themselves.
So you're saying that it's support a militia. That's fine. Mm-hmm. When was the last time we've had a militia in this country?
The militia, this is clear, and the Supreme Court has determined this in several cases. But the militia is the citizens, and the citizens can form groups, or they can bear their own arms to defend themselves. And the Second Amendment was written for 3 purposes. It was written for one.
Yeah, but listen, you're right there. But the law, although the amendment goes on to say it is for the security of a free state. So These militias that currently exist, are they there to protect the state of Michigan or the state of Wisconsin or the state of Utah or the state of Wyoming?
It's the state, meaning the government. And it's the free state. In other words, what they're saying is that there are 3 reasons the Second Amendment was written. The first one is to allow people to
allow to have
themselves.
A state-standing militia.
Right. For
one, right?
An individual to be able to protect themselves.
Okay.
For the citizens to protect the country against a would-be foreign invader.
The military. That's what we have them for.
Not the military, but for the citizens to protect.
And the citizens are the ones that make up the military, and they bear arms to protect America. Give us a third one.
It's not just the military, and for the citizens of the country to protect itself from a government that might become tyrannical.
Do you think the United States government is going to become tyrannical?
It may.
When? When is it going to happen?
Has
it ever become tyrannical in the past?
It has not yet.
And so
it won't.
And but are you and let me and you tell me if you're not. But do you believe in the power of the Constitution that gives you the right to bear arms? I'm asking a question. So you believe in the Constitution, but doesn't the Constitution also protect the whole ideal of the Constitution is to provide order so that there is no tyranny? Isn't that correct? Or you just only believe in the part of the Constitution that supports your right to bear arms?
The Constitution is not to provide order. The Constitution
provides a government and peaceful transfer. The only time that we'd have a state of tyranny if there wasn't peaceful transfer, right?
No. First of all, the Constitution. You've got the Constitution's purpose all wrong. The Constitution's purpose. Yeah, the Constitution's purpose is to protect the rights of individuals, so that the government, to limit the government's ability to control an individual's life.
I agree with you.
And the Constitution, the Second Amendment is there, and the founding fathers made it very, very clear in their writings about the Second Amendment, and the Judge Napolitano said it best. It's not the right.
Wait, so you're now quoting the crazy lunatic judge that has a show on Fox News? That's your source.
Judge Napolitano.
When was the last time he sat on the bench?
He's a constitutional scholar.
Oh, when was the last time he sat on the bench, and why? If he's such a constitutional scholar, why did he never get nominated to be Supreme Court? Maybe it's because he's of the maniacs of the left of the right wing. But I digress. Let's get back to we have a couple seconds left, but I just want to get this on the record for everybody out there in America. Mm-hmm. You're saying that when you pass gun control laws, you are basically inflicting racial inequality on African Americans and Latinos. I just want to get that on the record.
Well, number one, that's been a historical fact. Number two, look at where the strictest gun control laws are in cities like Washington, in cities like New York, in cities like Chicago, where the population
Larry,
is majority minority.
Okay, Larry, I appreciate that. We got to go to break, but America, he said it for himself. Larry, thanks so much for being on the show. We really appreciate you. We're back on the Fowler Show after this break.